Okay, so let me start today's episode with a moment that absolutely stopped me in my tracks. My daughter Lily, like every little girl watching her mommy, loves to sit on the counter and watch me get ready. She is mesmerized. I swear she thinks my morning makeup routine is a full Broadway performance. Every now and then she'll ask, Mommy, can I wear some makeup too? And outside of her dance recital, the answer is usually no. I'll pretend to dab a little blush on her, but I always tell her, Lily, sweetheart, you're beautiful just the way you are. You don't need makeup. And here's the thing about kids, they absorb everything. The things we say intentionally and the things we don't even realize we're modeling. They soak up our tone, our confidence, our insecurities, everything, even when we think they're not listening. So the other day, she's watching me put on my makeup, and without even looking up from the little toy in her hand, she goes, Mommy, you don't need to put on makeup. You're so beautiful without it. I froze because that's what I tell her. And here she was handing that truth right back to me. Welcome back to another episode of Fit Fuel Female. I'm so glad that you're here because if you've ever questioned your own beauty, your worth, or your enoughness, today's episode is going to speak straight to your heart. And listen, I am not saying women shouldn't wear makeup. Girl, I love my makeup. I love feeling put together. But what hit me in that moment was this. She actually believes she's beautiful without anything added. Do I believe the same about myself? And that's when it hit me just how young this all starts. Because this same daughter, she's the one I battle every single morning over an outfit that is literally a uniform. But it has to have the perfect sneakers, the perfect headband, the perfect bow, so all the girls at school will think I'm pretty, Mommy. And I'm standing there like, when did we get here? You're 4. But then on the flip side, she's the girl who does not care one bit outside of school. The other day, she ripped off her denim skirt in the parking lot because it was uncomfortable. She didn't hesitate, didn't apologize, and then marched into the restaurant proudly, rocking an oversized sweatshirt, tights, and cowboy boots. Just absolutely unbothered. It amazes me how early this tension starts. The tug of war between wanting to be accepted and not wanting to care at all, between wanting to feel pretty and wanting to feel comfortable, between external validation and internal truth. And we, as the women they look up to, are teaching them, whether we mean to or not, which parts of themselves to trust. And that's what led me right into today's topic. Because insecurity doesn't just show up in adulthood. It doesn't magically appear in high school. It starts young. It starts here. And the more I've paid attention, the more I see it everywhere. And here's the thing I've been really sitting with lately. Insecurity is an epidemic. It's everywhere. Every room you walk into, every feed you scroll, every mom at school drop off, every leader in the boardroom, every woman standing in front of the mirror trying to decide if she feels enough today. And the truth is, we all have a little bit of it in us. No one, and I mean no one, is immune to it. But what separates the women who rise from the women who shrink isn't the absence of insecurity. It's what they do with it. Because what we tell ourselves, it becomes how we perceive ourselves, how we act, how we show up, our tone, our energy, our decisions, our entire mood. We believe the words we repeat to ourselves. And if what we're repeating is constant negativity, constant comparison, constant not enough, then we eventually become the very thing we're so afraid of becoming. And it doesn't stop there. We start attracting it. It becomes this quiet domino effect that touches every part of our lives without us even realizing it. And I've seen it show up not just in my life, but in my daughter's. A little girl who already thinks her sneakers or headband have to be just right, so all the girls will think she's pretty. And then that same girl will turn around the next day, rip off her skirt because it's uncomfortable, and rock an oversized sweatshirt, tights, and cowboy boots with zero cares in the world. It starts early. It starts deep. And if we don't get honest about it, it follows us into adulthood. So today, we're going to talk about it. Where it starts, how it shapes us, and how learning to genuinely like yourself is one of the most powerful antidotes you can give yourself, and the little ones watching you too. Which leads me to my first lesson. Insecurity is a thief. If there's one thing insecurity does better than anything else, it steals. And half the time, we don't even realize that we're being robbed. Insecurity is a thief of joy, a thief of presence, a thief of confidence, a thief of opportunity. It creeps into moments that should feel good, Moments where we're qualified, deserving, beautiful, strong, and whispers just enough doubt to make us pull back. And here's the part that really gets me. It doesn't need the whole door open. It will walk right through the tiniest crack. A small comment from someone, a comparison you didn't mean to make, a photo you wish looked different, a meeting where you stumbled over one sentence, a morning with your daughter where she's already deciding which headband will make her feel pretty enough. Insecurity takes those micro moments and turns them into stories about who we are. And when we start believing those stories, insecurity doesn't just steal our confidence, it steals our experience. And insecurity, it shows up everywhere. In fitness, it steals the joy of movement because we're too busy comparing our bodies to someone else's. It convinces us that the girl 2 treadmills over is analyzing us, when she's probably too worried about her own hair popping out of her ponytail to notice. In motherhood, it steals our presence because we're measuring ourselves against women who look like they're doing it better. It makes us question whether we're patient enough, creative enough, balanced enough, when most moms are just trying to get their kids out the door without losing their minds. In marriage, it steals connection because we start interpreting everything through the lens of I'm not enough. We create distance not because our partner isn't showing up, but because insecurity, it convinced us we're too much or not enough or hard to love. Insecurity is sneaky. It doesn't have to push us off the path. All it has to do is slow us down. Because when insecurity steals your momentum, everything becomes harder. Decision-making, relationships, parenting, leadership, even just getting dressed in the morning. It's the quiet thief of our entire lives if we don't catch it in the act. And here's a perspective shift that I wasn't expecting to learn. Recognizing insecurity in other people can actually sometimes help us understand the world with softer eyes. The other day, I learned something about a woman I know, someone who has always been consistently standoffish toward me. And if I'm being honest, I let that energy change mine. I pulled back too. I matched her vibe because I assumed it was personal. But then I learned about a tragedy she had walked through, something I had absolutely no idea about. And suddenly, it all made sense. I'm not saying we should excuse bad behavior or carry a victim mindset forever, but most of the time when someone is rude, distant, short, cold, or standoffish, it's really not about us. People protect themselves the only way they know how, and insecurity, it can often be the armor. Sometimes the greatest act of confidence is choosing empathy instead of ego. And here's the part I don't think enough people say out loud. Insecurity isn't something I'm magically above either. It's something I've battled my entire life. Yes, I had a mom who poured confidence into me. She spoke life into me. She made sure I knew I could walk into a room and hold my own. But I also walked through trauma that did the complete opposite. Trauma that created cracks in places I didn't even know could break. And those cracks become the perfect hiding place for insecurity to slip in and sometimes even grow in too. There have been so many moments where I felt like I wasn't good enough, like people didn't like me, like I somehow needed to prove I belonged in spaces I had already earned. And the funny thing is, most people would never guess that about me from the outside. They see the confidence, the presence, the leadership, the put together exterior, but they don't see the pep talks I've had to give myself in bathrooms, cars, boardrooms, or before walking into rooms where I felt small. They don't see the work behind the confidence. I've had to do the internal heavy lifting to get those toxic thoughts out of my head when they creep in, because I refuse to let insecurity take over who I am. Not as a woman, not as a mother, not as a leader, and not as a wife. And while I've gotten to a place where I don't base my worth on what other people think of me anymore, let's be honest, it's so much easier said than done. We all say we don't care what people think, but most of us do. We just can't let it control us. At some point, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust the circle you've built. You have to trust the love that surrounds you. And you have to trust that your worth, it's not up for debate. Not by strangers, not by critics, not by people who don't even know the full you. Because insecurity, it will take and take and take until you decide that you're done giving it access. So the final truth of this lesson, insecurity will take everything you let it have. But the moment you name it, in yourself and in others, you get to take its power back. Which leads me to lesson number 2. You actually have to like yourself. One of the biggest realizations I've had, and honestly, one of the hardest, is this. At the end of the day, you actually have to like yourself, not tolerate yourself, not work on yourself someday, not present the polished version of yourself that everyone else approves of. No, you have to genuinely like who you are when no one's clapping for you, when no one's validating you, when no one is telling you that you're doing a good job. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. You can build confidence from the outside in for a little while. You can dress the part, speak the part, perform the part, but true, grounded, sustainable confidence, it only sticks when it comes from liking yourself for real. And I don't mean liking the highlight reel parts. I mean liking the messy parts, the loud parts, the soft parts, the emotional parts, the resilient parts, the healing parts, the I'm still figuring it out parts. Because if you don't like yourself, then nothing anyone else says will ever feel like enough. Compliments, they'll bounce off. Opportunities will feel intimidating. Relationships will feel unstable. Careers will feel fragile. You'll always need more validation because you can't give any to yourself. And when you don't like yourself, you start shrinking. You start over explaining. You apologize for taking up space. You question your worth every time someone else shows up confident. It becomes this loop that you just can't escape. And recently, I had a rude awakening around this exact lesson. I found myself in a situation where I was trying, truly trying, to gain someone's approval. And no matter what I did, no matter how much I showed up, no matter how deserving I was, it was never going to happen. Not because of me, but because of them. It took me stepping back and accepting people for who they are. It took me realizing that some people are simply just not capable of giving the validation we're seeking, even when we've earned it. And continuing to chase that approval, it only leaves you exhausted, empty, and questioning yourself in ways you never should. What that situation taught me was this: validation doesn't have to come from the people you assume it should come from. My validation, it's the life I've built. It's the family I've chosen. It's the friends who support me, challenge me, and see me. It's the circle that actually pours back into me. Approval from the wrong people, it won't heal you. It will drain you. And trying to gain it will only keep you stuck in a cycle of insecurity that was never yours to carry. And here's the part I'm proud to say out loud. I actually like myself. Not in a superficial, Instagram ready way, but in a real way. I like spending time with myself. I enjoy my alone time. I schedule my alone time. And I genuinely think we should all do more of that. I like who I am, flaws, imperfections, rough edges, and all, because I also know my heart. I know I'm a good person. I know I care deeply about others. And I know that I'm generous with my time, my love, and my support. And when you like yourself at that level, something shifts. You stop needing your worth reflected back to you. You stop tying your confidence to someone else's mood, reaction, opinion, or approval. You get rooted, and nothing shakes you as easily anymore. So, the final truth of this lesson: you cannot build confidence on top of self-doubt. At some point, you have to decide to like yourself and build your life from there. Which leads me to my power move for the week. Give yourself the validation that you've been waiting for. This week, I want you to do something incredibly simple, but incredibly brave. Give yourself the validation you've been waiting for someone else to give you. That thing you've been hoping someone else would notice. Tell yourself that you're proud of it. That part of you that you've been wishing someone would affirm it yourself. That room you want to walk into confidently, validate your right to be there before anyone else even looks your way. Because here's the truth: waiting for someone else to tell you who you are will always keep you small. But deciding that you are the one who gets the final say, that will change your whole life. And here's why this matters so much. Recently, I had a major win. One of those moments where you just feel it and you're so excited. And my very first instinct was to pick up the phone and call my mom, because I knew she would have been genuinely, wholeheartedly proud of me. She would have smiled, she would have cheered, she would have said exactly what my soul needed to hear. But I couldn't call her because she's not here anymore. And in that moment, I realized something so powerful. Even though she couldn't pick up the phone, her belief in me still validated me. The way she loved me, encouraged me, and spoke life into me for so many years, that was still inside of me. And that alone was enough. So here's what I want for you. Find the thing that gives you validation. Maybe it's looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm proud of you. Maybe it's thinking of the person who would clap for you the loudest, a parent, a partner, a friend, or someone you've lost, and letting their love be enough. Maybe it's choosing to believe in yourself simply because you deserve to. So here's the action step. Pick one area where insecurity has been stealing from you, whether it's motherhood, fitness, marriage, work, friendships, and replace the insecure thought with a powerful truth. Here's some examples. I'm not doing enough as a mom. Well, maybe you say, my kids feel safe and loved because of me. I don't belong in this room. How about I earned my seat at this table? She doesn't like me. What if you said, I won't tie my worth to someone else's wounds? I'm not enough. What about I am whole, I am learning, and I am becoming? Write it down, say it out loud, put it on your mirror, make it your phone wallpaper, and repeat it until it becomes your default. Because confidence, it doesn't start when insecurity disappears. Confidence starts when you decide to believe the truth about yourself, even while insecurity is still trying to whisper in your ear. This week, you get to become your own validation, your own hype woman, your own whisper of you're doing better than you think. So what's been fueling me lately? Lately, what's been fueling me is scripture, and specifically this book someone recently gave me called Women of the Bible. I've been ending my day with it, one chapter a night, and it has honestly been such a breath of perspective. These stories are from thousands of years ago, women who lived completely different lives than we do today. But what has struck me over and over again is how similar their core struggles really are. They faced uncertainty, they faced insecurity, they faced loss, disappointment, betrayal, and seasons where they questioned their own strength. They navigated love, motherhood, identity, calling, community, all the same things that we're navigating today. Just a different time, a different world, but the same heart battles. And reading about these women, their grit, their faith, their courage, the way they kept showing up even when life shook them, it's been so inspiring to me in a way I didn't even realize I needed. It reminds me that we are a part of a much bigger story, that women have been surviving, healing, rising, and rebuilding since the beginning of time, and that the strength we draw from today, it isn't new, it's inherited. Every night, I close that book feeling grounded, connected, and honestly empowered. Because if they could endure what they did with far fewer resources, far less support, and a world that made their lives 10 times harder, then I can face whatever is in front of me today. And so can you. That's what's been fueling me lately. Faith, scripture, stories of women who walked through storms and still found their way to the other side, just like we will. All right, so today we went deep. We talked about how insecurity is a thief, how it steals our joy, our presence, our confidence, and even our connections if we're not paying attention. We unpack the truth that you actually have to like yourself, not someday, not when things settle, not when people finally give you the validation you deserve, but now and on purpose. We talked about finding your validation in the right places, in the life you've built, the people who truly see you, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are at your core. In your power move this week, give yourself the validation you've been waiting for. Pour into yourself the way you pour into everyone else. Because when you take back that power, insecurity, it loses its grip. And you step into a version of yourself that is grounded, resilient, and fully aligned. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another woman who needs the reminder. And remember, stay fit, stay fueled, and keep showing up as the strongest, most authentic version of you. I cannot wait to see you next time.